You're now tuning in to the Ambitious Views podcast, where we share unique perspectives on storytelling within film and television from the past, present, and future. We're here for a good time, not a long time. So let's get to it. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Ambitious Views podcast. We're your hosts, Corrigan, and
Blaze, what's up, Corgan? How are you?
I am doing good, Blaze. I am on the other side of production for my documentary,
Mm-hmm.
and school stuff is starting to kind of wind down on the events-ish side, so I'm able to come home before the sun goes down a little bit more.
Amen.
Yeah. And so I'm doing pretty good, getting ready to attend the what film festival? I'm getting ready to attend the Hot Springs Documentary Film Festival and stuff like that. So I'll be able to take off for a little bit and um enjoy some projects, attend the forum, filmmaker forum that they've been having. This is the second year they've been having it. So looking forward to that as well. And stuff. So I'm feeling pretty good. How about you?
I'm feeling pretty good too. I said before, school hasn't really been that stressful this semester, so
Mm,
it's I'm living life with that, and then work has not been too stressful. Um, I do orientation and then I also reach out to students who may not be doing well, showing
yeah.
up and all of that. And so
Yep.
that part has picked up a little bit, but for the most part, it's been good.
That's what's up. Um, Sorry, y'all can hear me smacking. I'm smacking on some grapes. Your boy was hungry today. We're gonna be talking about Fight Night.
Like,
Man, they need to either give us a record deal or just give us music for free, man.
I know that's right.
Man. So, but yeah, we're gonna be talking about Fight Night. For those of you who are like, what is that? Shame on you. No, I'm just playing. But
No,
no,
shame
it's
on you.
yeah, shame. What she said. But no, it's a really dope mini series on Peacock, and it stars Kevin Hart, Samuel L. Jackson, Taraji P. Henson, and so and shoot, why am I forgetting this man's name? Cheadle. Is it Don Cheadle?
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't
Don
you
Cheadle
know?
as well. Just and so many more. Like it's a lot of really big hitters and some people that's kind of been in the game for a while and been and it was just a really great ensemble overall. But anyway, we're gonna get into that later on. But first, of course, we gotta jump into our new game that we're playing. We playing this thing called What Is This? And just to remind you, if you haven't caught the other episodes, when we play this, is basically what happens is we take turns where we will give three names or three objects or whatever like that, whatever we want to do, three names or whatever, and it's related all to one movie or one TV show. And we have to figure out what movie is that connected to or TV show. And so today is my turn, and I think I'm gonna take it easy on Blaze today. I feel like you know, if it would go any other way, I feel like she'd give me a hard time. So I'm gonna take it easy on Blaze, I believe. We're gonna see where the knowledge lies, and hopefully she's seeing this, okay?
Oh Lord.
Um, yeah, so the names are Key, Suge, and DJ.
E, Suge, and DJ.
Yeah, Key as in unlocking the door. Key,
Hmm.
Suge,
Is this a show or a movie?
and DJ. It is a movie.
A movie. I have an answer, but I think it's so wrong. Um,
This is the main characters, by the way, so I did try to make it hard.
okay. These are the main characters. Ugh. What was the last name? Key, Suge, and DJ.
Yep, easy, easy.
I
Remember
know
this,
what's
y'all.
in I know that like the answer that's in my head is completely wrong,
Uh-huh.
but it's the only thing that's coming to me.
I feel like I know what you're gonna guess because of one of the names. I feel like I know what you're gonna guess, but we're gonna see.
Um, I want to say something because of Suge, obviously, but I don't think that's right.
Well,
Can I ask a follow-up question?
you say you ask a follow-up question?
Yes. What
Uh,
year or decade?
it's in the let me see, the 2000s.
That didn't help. I'm gonna go with Superfly.
Is Superfly?
I
All
know that's
right.
wrong.
All right, you ready?
Yes.
You know it's hard out here for a pimp.
Oh, Hustle and
Hustle
Flow.
and
Oh,
flow.
fun fact, I've never actually watched that full movie. I've only seen clips. So I wouldn't have known those character names. I
I
really
went,
don't even know the plot to that movie. I just know he was a rapper. She was pregnant. He forced her to sing. There was a white girl in the mix. I think Ludacris was in it at one point.
yes. I didn't
Okay.
say his name. I didn't say Ludacris' name because if you had watched it, maybe you would have remembered. Because all the other names are really straightforward, but his is Skinny Black.
Yeah, none of these names ring a bell.
So I
All
think
I
I
know
watched it
is,
one time. I think I watched
hmm
it one time. Don't remember the plot. I don't remember the plot. I think the plot was kind of straightforward
hmm
type of thing of him wanting to be a rapper, but I can't remember the full thing. I do remember some about them in the club at one time, but
I
yeah,
don't think I
Terrence
was
Howard.
allowed to watch that movie when it came
Oh
out. And when I got old enough to watch it, I guess I just never.
yeah, I watched it. It had to be after I graduated grad school, I think.
Mhm.
But yeah, Terrence Howard is DJ. Anthony Anderson is Key, and then ironically, Taraji P. Henson is Suge.
Oh, dang.
Yep. Ain't that something?
Yeah, I would have never guessed that.
Well, the score is
You got
still.
me. You got me.
And see, I tried to make it easy because it was related to fight night,
Yeah.
something like that. But I said it will be funny if Blaze ain't even watched this. So, but anyway, all right. So, what's on your watch list, Blaze?
All right. So I haven't been watching as much as last
Yeah.
time. Um, I've been rewatching a few things and then, watching some newer stuff. So Love is Blind is back and better than ever. Um, the season 7 on Netflix. It's been, I won't lie, at first I was like, oh my gosh. But that's the second drop from last week. I was like, okay, okay, business is picking up.
Oh
But it's
gosh.
mostly because the cast, they just cast some very interesting people, like
Oh,
very interesting people. I don't know respectfully where these people came from, but they interesting for sure.
interesting.
They giving us reality television. Uh
Oh,
And then one of my favorites came back with their fourth season, Outer Banks. So I've been watching that. I told myself, I was like, because Netflix been doing this stupid thing where they split the seasons up. I hate it. Like, just give it all to me. And I was like, I'm not gonna watch all the first drop. And I did good like the first few days. I watched like an episode, then I watched the half of an episode, and by Sunday I had watched the whole thing. And I was
Dang.
like, well, dang, now I gotta wait until November. Um, but it's a good fourth season so far. I think like a lot of the fans were wondering where they were gonna go with the story. Since like the main treasure that they were trying to find, they found it in the previous season, and so season four is kind of like it's like the same cast, same drama from the past, but like it's also a bit of a reset because it's a new treasure to find, new mystery, um, and characters are kind of in different places, and they're trying to navigate those places. So season four has been really good so far. I'm excited to see what the second part brings. Um, Also on Netflix, I like their documentaries.
Yeah.
And they have a new basketball documentary that is produced, I believe, by LeBron James production company,
Okay.
called Starting Five. And so it's about five current NBA players and just following them through the 2023-2024 basketball season. There's LeBron James, Anthony How? Anthony. I just know him as Ant-Man. Anthony Edwards. That's his
Yeah.
last name. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Ant-Man. Jimmy Butler, Miami Heat.
Who?
Woo!
Who?
Jimmy Butler of Miami Heat, not too much.
I know
Um,
Jimmy Butler, but I don't. The
anyway, Sabonis from the Kings, and then Jimmy and Jason Tatum.
you say who?
Anyway,
You say
you
who?
heard me. Jason Tatum.
Who he play for?
He played for this team that is in this one state, a team in Massachusetts.
Oh, do they
But
wear
that's
the
not the
same
point.
color? Do they? Speaking of points, I like how you pointing that green pen in your hand.
Anyway, so the show just kind of follows each of them throughout that basketball season. Um, it's interesting the way they did it. It's not like really a specific structure. Um, it's like they just kind of followed them and then like edited together in a way that made sense. Like they came up with like a theme, I guess you could say, for each episode, and they put together this stuff because it's chronological, but it's not chronological. Because like there's moments that will start like prior to when the season start, and then they'll jump to like Christmas. So it changes a lot with the time period. So it's not necessarily chronological, but it's not crazy. But yeah, I've been watching that. It's like 10 episodes. I think I'm on episode 5 or 6. So I'm almost done with that. Um, we'll talk about Fight Night. And then I've been rewatching some stuff. I guess after I rewatched Scandal a few months ago, I was like, let me rewatch something else that I love. And so it's October. It's spooky season. So I rewatched Vampire Diaries. I'm already on season 4. Um
Mhm.
and then I also am rewatching Fear Street. So like each Halloween, I like to pretty much watch the same stuff like
Mhm.
scary movies because I don't do a lot of scary movies, and so I can pretty much only stick to the ones I know. And so I usually do like the Scream series. I Know What You Did Last Summer, but the newer one that I watch is Fear Street. That's on Netflix. There's 3 parts to it. It's really good. I think they're actually making a new one. I don't know if it's a fourth part or like a extension of it. But if you've never seen Fear Street, essentially it's about this town. Um, yeah, I guess you say like it's this town. One side is I think of it as like the rich people, and then the other side is like the not so rich people. And the not so
Gotcha.
rich people are basically hunted And as you watch it, you realize that, like, essentially for the rich side to be prosperous, this other side has to be essentially like sacrificed. That's
Mm,
why the things for them are going so bad. And so the cool thing about Fear Street is that it covers three different time periods.
oh,
Um, the first time period is 1994, I think.
mm,
Let me see. Yeah, the first one is 1994. The second one is 1978. And then the third one is 1666. And so
1666.
1666. But it all correlates. It all is gonna come together. And so that's what I really enjoy about it. Like,
Mm,
the scary stuff is cool or whatever, especially if you're into horror. But and I love it because it reminds me of like the slasher genre from the 90s.
okay. Yeah.
And so I highly recommend it. Like, since it came out in what, 2021, I've watched it every year.
Oh, okay. Yeah, now I kept on looking when I was looking at your list. I was like, Fear Street, that kind of looks familiar. And I was like, well, maybe that's like an older project I'm not familiar with. But once you explained it, I think I remember adding it on my watch list like a long time ago. But I think cars turning up. Um, I like I think I remember like adding that to my watch list and everything like that. And I was like, I think I remember adding it, but that was when I was on my dad's Netflix. Now I have my own, and I think that's why I completely forgot about it. But okay, yeah, that sounds really cool. It almost kind of makes me that format reminds me of Haunted at Hill House.
Mm-hmm.
Because you getting ready to watch that, right?
Haunted at Hill House? No, it looks scary.
What have you seen it where it's scary at?
The trailer looks scary. Every time I see a clip that somebody posts, I'm like, I don't know if I can fly with that one.
How you know it's the same thing? There's so many other stuff out there.
I don't know about it.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you something. It is scary and
See?
depressing.
You know what? That's why. Okay, I think we talked about it before, maybe
Yeah.
last year, and you told me it was depressing and scary. And I was like, nah, I'm good. I don't need to be depressed, and I definitely don't need to be scared because I don't want to be
But
scared and depressed.
if somebody would tell me like, man, Corrigan, if you want to watch something with really great writing
Mm,
and storytelling within itself, it's almost kind of to put it plain, Blaze, it's almost like the writing of Attack on Titan, but in
mm.
horror form.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's not jumpy. It's not super jumpy scary, to be really honest. Um, because yeah, it's not like Conjuring and all this stuff like that. If anything, it kind of gives you the same tone as did you watch the recent I think they did a part two, but the newer Pet Cemetery that they did?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so it's kind of like that. It's slow. It's heavily driven in dialogue and character. It's heavy on the character development. It's a really like outside of the horror and stuff like that, which I'm not big on.
Mm-hmm.
It's really great writing. How because basically you pretty much watch almost the same thing happen every single time, but from a different perspective. Um,
Oh, okay. That reminds me of that movie Vantage Point.
yeah, so because pretty much, it's about like the beginning of, from what I remember, I think you're gonna see like this dad running out of the house with his daughter, and you don't know what's behind him. He's just trying to you can tell that he's trying to get away from something, but trying to be as calm as possible with his kids and stuff like that. And by the time he makes it in the car, um, the rest of the kids are in there, and it's like two older ones and two younger ones.
Mm-hmm.
And so then after that, it flashes forward, and all of them are adults. And so you don't know what's happened. You just know ever since that night, they never did go back.
Okay.
And basically, each episode you get to learn more about what had been happening at the house,
Mm-hmm.
um, and what was going on around them during their childhood that led up to that exact night. So basically, you watch by the time you watch the first episode and realize what they're doing, basically it's going to draw you into where you waiting to watch. You want to watch and see what happens at the end of the show, like basically leading back up to the house.
Hmm. Okay. That
Yeah.
sounds interesting.
Mhm.
I may give it a look.
I would say if you watch it with somebody and take your time with it, it's
Hmm.
not. But
Okay,
I mean,
so yeah, it's a series, a mini
yeah,
series. Okay.
yeah, yeah. It's a series, and but yeah, it's pretty. I mean, I will say if it weren't for probably Aja, I don't know if I could have kept on going. To be quite honest, but storytelling wise, I can't deny it's one of the best storytelling series I've watched in a while. So,
Okay.
um, so. But dope. But since you said that, I definitely might check out Fear Street or whatever. It seems like a really cool concept and stuff. So, um, cool. Well, my watch list is very interesting to some people, and you might come for me. But yes, I finally watched Godfather for the first time. All right, finally watched it. So watch Godfather, watch Godfather 2, and I started Godfather 3 this past weekend, but I wasn't able to finish, so I got about halfway through it. I know a lot of people.
How many Godfathers are there?
It's three of them.
Okay.
It's three of them, and apparently, someone told me that apparently there's a certain cut that blends, I think, one and two, I think, together.
Hmm.
If you know, I mean, if you know about this, which I mean, it's not a spoiler. So basically, Godfather 2 is like present time at that moment, everything's happening. And then the one who is the Godfather, it goes back in time in part two. And but it goes back and forth between present and past, where it goes back in the past to talk about, how he elevated himself and stuff like that from Sicily, um, all the way up to where he became, the Godfather and stuff like that. So um, it's pretty good. It has a lot of pacing with it. It really takes its time. The first one does, and the second one does to a certain degree. It really takes its time to tell the story and allow you to be embraced in the setting of the story. Um,
Hmm.
kind of like almost how actually, you never did watch Joker yet, did you?
No. You talking about the
Uh,
new one or the first one?
I'm gonna say something. The first one.
No. Did you go watch the second one?
No, ma'am.
Why not? Because I did notice it went on your watch list. I wasn't gonna say nothing, but since you brought it up.
Um, yeah, Blaze. I'm glad that you had a good day too. So, I watched Fight Night. We're gonna talk about it in a second. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying?
Okay.
I had to get my Selling Sunset in. Started
Hmm.
that back. You know what I'm saying? And Love Is Blind. I will say it's very unique. I will say, this is the first season that I felt like there's a big cultural difference to a certain degree with this particular group
Yeah.
of people. I felt real Southern um, watching this, and I'm not talking about on political stuff and nothing like that, but truly
Hmm.
just like if I feel like if I met them in person, I would want them to like truly tell me how it is around there and just learning about the culture around in that area because I feel like it's completely different.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it is completely different when you think about it because DC is really tiny. Like 1 minute you in DC, the next minute you in Virginia, the next minute you're in Maryland. And so you're taking all these different cultures and you putting them together in one. that's gonna give us some different types of people. You got Northerners mixing with sort of Southerners. That we're gonna get some stuff.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's what I've been watching. But going back to your question, Blaze, I'm gonna be honest. I let I personally let um the talk and everything like that and people talking about their experience with the film push me from away from giving it a try. Um,
Mm-hmm.
especially another guy I know, he said he did check it out and it's a musical. Um,
Uh,
it's a full musical. And so I am
see,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
My see, I have a problem with that because I don't mind musical.
right.
But what I have mind lately is when they promote a film and they hide that it's a musical.
Mm,
That to me is false advertisement.
mhm. Yeah, because I thought that they were gonna I knew that they said there was they kept on saying I think there were musical aspects to it, but it's not a full musical or something like that. I thought that's what I kept hearing people saying or whatever like that and reading. But yeah, yeah, it's a true musical. And I will say the thing that I kept on wondering about the film is like where's the direction at the end, the way that it ended. Because like I said, like Joker is great. It's
Mm-hmm.
one of the greatest superhero world films I've ever seen. And to go from there to how it ended, I was very interested in where they was gonna go with it. And which I was why I was really excited. And I was like, this makes sense. But then I was just curious about where it was gonna go in terms of them also saying that, everything that's been made prior to James Gunn getting there
Mm-hmm.
was considered other world or other universe or something like that. It wasn't gonna be in the main canon anymore. And so I was just curious about how they was gonna do that. So yeah, I don't know. All right. So we talking about Fight Night, Blaze. Very interesting because I don't know. You still haven't watched it. Have you watched many? How many documentaries of Muhammad Ali have you watched, or are you still trying to align that in your schedule to check out?
Definitely trying to align that in my schedule. Only thing
Okay.
I've ever saw of Muhammad Ali was the Wilson.
Okay. Okay. And I watched that mm, 2 or 3 years ago for the first time.
Oh,
Before
really?
I really, yeah, before I knew anything, I think it used to, yeah, I would catch it here and there
Mm-hmm.
on TV, but just because I just really didn't know much about Muhammad Ali or whatever like that, and it wasn't really brought up in the household, I just never really thought too much about like giving into it. I knew that my cousin um made it to where they had his funeral or memorial or something like that or whatever. He was there. Um, and Will Smith was there, and my cousin was on the side or whatever like that or whatever. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I just wasn't really ever like pulled to it or whatever. So I will say I don't feel like you can appreciate Ali until you watch the documentaries.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I personally would say. And then because I've been wanting to actually now that I've got in all of this knowledge and stuff like that of him, um, that I actually want to go back and watch Ali with a new fresh eyes or whatever because there was certain things that he would do and everything like that. I'm like, hey, this is kind of unique or whatever like that. But now it was always in the back of my head, and now I kind of get it, and so now I just want to watch it with fresh eyes. So, but I was more so intrigued about this project because it was centered around when Muhammad Ali was finally going to be able to fight after being able to beat the case or during his case. I think he was able to beat it or it hadn't happened yet, but basically a lot of states had banned him from being able to fight and they took away his championship. And
Mm-hmm.
so opportunity presented itself in Atlanta for him to be able to finally boxed, and so that's what this story I almost want to say center around, but not really is influenced
Yeah.
by
Hmm.
stuff like
It's
that.
the catalyst. It's the
Mhm.
catalyst for the story that happened.
Yeah.
Because if the fight didn't happen, then the party and everything wouldn't have happened.
Exactly, exactly. So if you haven't watched it and you really want to kind of get an idea of what we feel about it, it's cool if you're down with spoilers to a certain degree. It's the way it's honestly the way the show is set up, and when you talk about it, it's almost kind of hard to really spoil it because there's so much to it, to where you would just have to like watch it, especially being a true story. And it is a true story.
Hmm.
It happened. Um, and um, and so this was back, I think it was in the 60s, I believe. I don't think it was in the 50s, in the 60s. 60s or late or early 70s. But
I
yeah, so
think so.
you're going to fact check me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But yeah, so really dope. So basically at the end of the day, what happens, for those of you who want to learn a little bit more, Ali is coming to the town. The greatest, the champ, is coming to town, and basically, it's known at that time that a lot of influencers, movers and shakers, and gangsters, specifically black gangsters, would be in the city. And at this time, this is before, people feel like, I mean, Atlanta is what it is today. But
Hmm.
ironically, and I don't know if this was intentional to kind of sell it. And I told Aja, like, I'm intrigued I'm really wondering is did they do this on purpose or whatever like that, passive marketing, I don't know. But basically it was a lot of chatter early on about how great Atlanta is getting ready to be. So, and what year did you find Blaze?
It's the 1970s.
Okay, good, 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 good. Yeah. And so, so basically, I was looking forward to this once I found out the concept. I just didn't know how serious I could take it because of all the stars that they added to it and everything. I'm like, don't make it a satire. What is this?
Hmm.
That was before I found out that this was a true story. And so,
Hmm.
or based loosely on a true story. So, but how did you feel about it, Blaze? Because they had been talking about this passively for a little bit, and then they dropped it on us. So what was you thinking at the time?
I mean, when I saw the cast list, I was like, well, I'm definitely watching it. That was mine. I really didn't know what it was about. I just knew that they had an all-star cast. And so I was like, I definitely want to support this,
Hmm.
whatever it is. Because they had people in there that I know they're not gonna just be in any type of mess. But also, I I feel like Peacock has been really good with the content that they have produced.
True.
And so that was another reason why I had like faith that it was gonna be good. But
Hmm.
once I realized like what it was about, I'm usually interested in true stories or stuff that's based on a true story. And so
Yeah.
I always think it's cool when people can take like a small moment and dramatize it, like taking Ali's first fight back in so long because you get not only are you getting like this whole story of what happened at the party, but you getting a sense of what the world was like at that time. And I think that that's really cool to dive in because we only talk about the headline, Ali's
Hmm.
first fight back, but it's like it's so many small things that surround that. And then
Yeah.
it being placed in Atlanta and us knowing where Atlanta is today and how Atlanta, a little bit about how Atlanta got to where it is. I thought that was also interesting because for me, and I think for you too, because I think you do a good job of this, of like showcasing like the Black experience in the South. Atlanta is a place that what,
So I appreciate that. I would have expected that.
but Atlanta is a place that's like the mecca of Black
Hmm.
South media,
Yeah.
and seeing its creation and how it got to where it is
Hmm.
always going to fascinate me,
Yeah.
because that's what I want. I want more of Black stories in the South from our perspective. Like yeah, it's the South. You're gonna get what you get in the South. But
Hmm.
like we're not miserable down here. Like we're still living a life. And
Hmm.
to explore that, whether it's in Atlanta or, other various places in the South, is always gonna draw me in. So and I love timepieces. And so
Yeah.
this being in the 70s, like I was locked in.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. Like, I'm glad this was different, you know what I'm saying? Even though I mean majority of them don't reside in the South. I do appreciate them at least addressing something that was in the South, even though, some people, argue and say that like, yeah, Atlanta it's in the South, but it's different. It was just cool that, I could tell that there were certain dialects that they was trying to include in certain moments or whatever. I know the director, if I'm not mistaken, is actually from or one of the directors are actually from Memphis. He's the one that did
Come on,
Hustling.
Big Memphis.
Yeah, yeah, he's the one who did Hustle and Flow, and um, so yeah, so I definitely agree. So yeah, so I was really intrigued about this because I remember where things was going on at the time and where he was at in his career, and this was a really big deal for him based off of the documentaries and projects that I've seen, and so that's why, like, after I learned it was true, where this was going and all this stuff like that, I said, I'm locked in or whatever, and and so I will say, Blaze, I kept on really wondering, and I may be wrong. Did Was Frank Moulton real? That's the only one I haven't looked up, or was he Frank Lucas?
I don't know. I remember looking it up, but I don't remember what I found.
Hmm. That was the only thing that I was kind of like, is that really Frank Moulton, or is it supposed to be Frank Lucas? You know what I'm saying? Um, that's the only thing that kind of came to mind. And so, but anyway, I mean, as it's starting off and everything like that, you getting the vibes and stuff. Like, how were you feeling about the show early on and stuff? Was it meeting your expectations of how things are going? Like, what kind of surprised you early on?
No, it met my expectations. I think I mentioned to you this before, like on a side note, but like this may be my favorite project that I've ever seen Kevin Hart in.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like lately, he's been doing a good job of selecting roles that are challenging to him. Not in
Hmm.
like he needs to be challenged, or like he can't act the type of way, but like in a y'all have seen me do the same thing so many times. Here's me doing something else. And let me show you, like, I really do this. Like, I can really do this. And he was
Yeah,
great. Like, he had the comedy element, but also like that drama element. And it felt like, because like there's been some roles that he's played where I'm like, nobody else could have played this role but Kevin Hart. Um,
true.
this is something that they could have easily cast, somebody else to play this role. But,
Hmm.
whether he auditioned for it or read for it or whatever, like he gave this role so much justice that like I don't see anybody else in the role because he did such a good job, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I definitely get that. Like, everybody's role just felt very natural to me, and there was a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people that like stand out. Like Miles Bullock, he played Willie Black.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
That's a
he,
bad
he he's a sinister man. Like,
sinister.
oh my
Sinister.
gosh, man. Like, matter of fact, where is it? Like, I'm interested to know where this brother is from because, and see, it's not much on his IMDb, man. Like, he brought it. I'm not seeing much
Right.
on his.
That's another thing. Like they did a really good job of having like these really big not artists, big actors,
Hmm.
um, people who are like making they're like up and coming, like the boy from All American was in it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, Chloe Bailey was in it.
Hmm.
All of like them, and then also new people that are coming into the scene.
Yeah, yeah. Because what's because then you got Sinqua Walls, like he's been
Mm-hmm.
things, and I'm glad to see that was a different look for him. You know what I'm saying? I wondered that he intentionally gained weight for that. Um,
Probably.
because usually he's a little bit on the slimmer side for things. So I don't know, man. It was just really cool, like you said, to see people. It was like all bought in, into this project, and it seems like there was a lot of fun that was had. David Banner did a really good job of playing like a different role. I wasn't expecting him
Mm-hmm.
to be in that type of aspect. Um, I didn't know who this person was, but she did good. The one who played Maxine, Teresa, I want to say Celeste, maybe. She was the one that was working with Taraji's character closely in
Uh-huh.
partners or
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Yeah.
Melvin Gregg, I enjoyed him and his. Clifton Powell, like,
Yeah.
yeah, like basically playing Mushmouth to a certain degree. So I will say the only, like, I will say, um, and it's not knocking them or whatever, but it was hard for me to separate Taraji and Terrence from their roles from Empire. Like
Oh, of course.
I felt like I was watching an older Lucius and Cookie, to be honest. Like
Yeah.
I was. Not in a bad way
They're
though.
definitely acting soulmates. Like
Yeah,
anytime they're in something together, it's gonna be good.
yeah,
And they
yeah.
didn't do too much. They didn't actually do too much together. Like they didn't have that many scenes
No.
together, but it was still nice to see them in the project.
Yeah. Cadillac Richie.
Cadillac.
God. Um, so I mean, what was like your favorite moments from the project, that you just really feel like this made it stand out above like, other things that you've seen? Because I know you mentioned about Kevin Hart, which, I definitely agree is one of my favorite ones he's been in as well. But and I will say I really like Don Cheadle in this too.
Same.
Mhm.
So glad you brought him up. So like I would say one of the standout parts would be the relationship between um Chicken Man and Don Chino's character, the officer.
Mhm.
Like how they first was like he was calling Chicken Man a hoodlum and Chicken Man calling him a pig for them to end up coming together in the end and work together to solve that case. I thought that was cool because I feel like that's kind of timeless in a way.
Yeah.
A lot of black people who are cops, that's probably something that they have to deal with all the
Yeah.
time is the black community not accepting them, respecting them, thinking that they are just, for the cops, pigs,
Mhm.
whatever. And so it was nice to see them kind of come onto common ground, but then also to see Don Cheadle's character, like the racism that he experienced in his job. And it's like,
Yeah.
here's this man who essentially has made it, he's a detective and he's still at the bottom of the food chain, you know,
Yeah.
and he's fighting for like the respect for, and really he wasn't fighting for the respect from his people. He he just did his job
Yeah.
and he did his job and he didn't really, I think because he was around the cops for so long, he had no empathy for people who were struggling and made bad decisions essentially out of that struggle. But
Yeah.
I think that time with Chicken Man made him realize like people are not, they like that doesn't make them bad people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so seeing that story unfold was probably my favorite thing.
Yeah. I definitely agree. I loved watching their arc. I will say, like, Don Cheadle playing, JD Hudson. He did a really great job of just making him really just not a likable guy in the beginning, even though he was technically supposedly the good guy. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I will say that, like, Don Cheadle's character, you know, his character development, I feel like was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
That I enjoyed. Like I feel like it was easy to kind of assume how, Chicken was gonna turn out and everything. But I do feel like, JD Hudson's, character. It's kind of like you said, it's kind of fitting into that timeless narrative of just, kind of in reflection and everything like that, and just seeing, how things go with that. I really love the plot twist with Cadillac Richie being kind of like, the main enemy, because it's kind of one of
Hmm.
those things where, okay, the guy left, but in the back of my head, I'm like, okay, but where are you going? You know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
I'm back, and so that was very clever, and I enjoyed that, and like, and oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say to add to that too, um, Hudson's relationship or arc with Muhammad Ali also was
True.
interesting too because a lot of people had opinions about Muhammad Ali at that time, and so to see Hudson like express his opinions as well because of like I think he was in the military before as well.
I
Yeah,
think
and so
so.
having feelings about that, and then him spending time with Muhammad, like it mirrors everything that happened with Chicken Man. Like, here I am judging you because you chose to do something for you based off of your beliefs,
Hmm.
and I'm making you out to be this bad person. Like, just like everybody else in the world would actually, you were actually an okay dude.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool too.
Yeah, no, most def, and I feel like that's a big theme and something, for a lot of people to reflect on is just, like you said, like people are a lot of times people are not their mistakes, and their mistakes stem from something deeper that they have never addressed, and now that's and came out, and you know, because I mean, at the end of the day, Chicken knew what he was doing, and it seemed like his wife, kind of knew that there was a possibility he was out doing whatever and stuff, but when it came to what his actions would end up leading to, even though he wasn't trying to do things, it really woke him up, and then
Hmm.
it's kind
Yeah,
of like, it's kind of like this. It's almost like the series is a series about accepting people of their flaws, long as they're true, that they're truly not trying to be that person, and
right,
continue, you know. But it's different shows for different folks. It's not saying that you should just give all in for everybody, but it's okay if that's okay for you, you know.
right. Because like even think about Willie Mack, like he was sinister. But like in the end, and they like the fact that they were able to pull him in on flipping on Cadillac, like that just showed like him seeing the young kid die changed him where he realized one, he shouldn't have shot
Yeah,
oh dude, and he was like that happened because of me. Now he's dead because of me. And people change. Sure, you do bad things. Some bad things are not very forgiving.
yeah,
But like as long as you are like willing to change and you're sincere about that change, like that's the important thing. He
most
should
definitely.
definitely, if he didn't die, he should have definitely been in jail.
Oh,
I'm not saying
most
let him
definitely.
go, but yeah,
Most definitely, because
forever.
yeah, yeah, and it's and I think it's one of those things too, man. Just even in our communities, like we get so caught up and want to, the older guys, want to invest in the young black men and everything, and it's just like want something that's really best for them, and not just something that you used to do. And I feel like it turned
That
from that.
part. Mm-hmm.
It turned from that to like it. I think it really hit him like, oh man, like I'm encouraging this young kid to be in his lifestyle, and now this lifestyle is about to take him out, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna have to
And
be
did
the
it
one to
did.
take him out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it did. And also you got somebody else kill and had him to kill somebody that was actually trying to be there for him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, man, I really like how you brought that up, Blaze. It's definitely I feel like that's the theme of just, really being more aware of the why of people, and whatever your strength and forgiveness at, that's your story, and nobody can take that away from you as long as you're not, fooling yourself and stuff. And so
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that I definitely love that, you know. Um I'm, you know, I will say again that sometimes when it comes to ensemble casts and projects, I'm kind of iffy about checking them out to be honest, because it's just like, you know, there's a true talent to balancing that. But I think what I've learned in this, watching this, that if you want to be able to do it right and give them enough breathing room, a
Hmm.
series is the way to go.
Yeah. And
You know.
honestly, I wish they would do more of the ensemble cast. Like I think it's so cool when you get some of the biggest stars together in a project. You know, what was that one movie they did on Netflix where it was like Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer
Oh,
Lawrence? Yes, like an all-star cast. Like that's so cool.
yeah, yeah, and I feel
They
like if it's the right story, they pull something out of one another. I feel like too.
yes.
Yeah, yeah, because I really, man, I was just sitting back. I'm like, man, like how is Samuel L. Jackson doing this and not being over the top and not being too familiar, and he's still bringing some freshness, man. Like I don't know if
Hmm.
I ever was like watching something besides, of course, was that Pulp Fiction, and it's like, oh my gosh, like Samuel L. Jackson's coming, what's about to happen, you know?
Hmm.
Um,
I
but
I love too about this show how I love like all the small things, like the detail to fashion, the detail to music, the
yes,
cars, the essence of the time period, even like the other famous people, because Lori Harvey played a famous actress of the time. Like all of that, those things were so cool. But also, I really enjoyed the different types of Black people at the time. You know, so you have your chicken man who's like
oh
this
yeah,
hustler. Then you have like the gangsters. Then you have former military, cops, politicians, and how in a way all of that is a part of what made Atlanta what
mm,
it, progressed to be over the years.
yeah, yeah. That's I didn't think about it like that. I mean, you do see a lot. I mean, you see someone that's want to be a father, but just not making the best decisions and stuff like that to be continuous. Like, yeah, I didn't think about that as well. So, yeah, I mean, overall, it's a good project. It's definitely something I can recommend to somebody that is not too heavy to wear, so it can be a fun watch
Mm-hmm.
and just a good time and like and a good balance of comedy, but not giving too much to where you can still take things serious or whatever like that. And like I said, and I really love the whole trickery of things or whatever like that at the end. I thought that was a really cool way to kind of mix
I
up the
did
stuff,
too.
you
Yeah.
know. I thought that was really cool. So,
And
so
yeah,
yeah,
and I loved how the cool thing about it was how they were able to bring the community together. Like, Chicken Man
yeah,
always said, I don't run numbers, I run people or something like that. And how they were all able to come together and make this fake restaurant. Like that was so cool.
crazy. It's like
So
what?
crazy. You need me to do what? All right, what time I gotta be there?
Right, man. Yeah, it was I wasn't expecting that. That was I love that twist. It just kind of made it more fun to watch and not just a straightforward thing and like, oh, we caught you and all this stuff like that. You know, it was definitely good. Definitely good. Highly recommend for a fun watch. And stuff. And I will say it got to a point, I think it was like the fifth episode. I was like, how in the world are they gonna keep this going for three more episodes? So, but
Right.
they found a way. They
They
found
found a
a
way.
way.
I
So,
mean, they had to give us a little twist.
right. They gave us a twist and shout. Oh man, well,
Oh
dope,
wait,
man.
I think I found Frank Moulton.
Really?
So in the 70s, he was the Black Godfather. Um, so when I tried to search him under his name, I couldn't find nothing. But when I searched Black Mafia Frank Moulton, that's when stuff started popping up.
Mm,
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look him up because I haven't heard of him or whatever. Um,
I mean, I'm
I
seeing pictures.
really, I did find it interesting that Chicken ended up becoming a pastor.
Right. I love that.
Oh man, I was like,
His wife
wow.
was not she was like, I see good in you. I'm gonna make sure.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that's
make
something,
sure.
man. You need people like that in your life to see the good in you, man. As long as you're willing
Hmm.
to receive it. So, well, dope, Blaze. Well, I feel like this has been another good one.
One more
And I actually,
thing.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. What you got?
Do you see this show getting nominations?
No, no.
I agree, but not because it's not good, but because of what we talked about before.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel I'm based on the quality, and like I said, man, like Miles, who played Willie Black, he was stand out to me. I feel like it may be cliche to say, but I feel like Samuel L. Jackson did really good.
Hmm.
Um, Don Cheadle did really good. I wouldn't be against them probably giving, even Kevin Hart a consideration as well and stuff like that. But um, even outside of what we talked about, I feel like it's a double thing. I feel
Hmm.
like unless it's coming from different perspectives, that definitely ensemble cast of Black people is definitely not as favorable. I feel like the only one that I've ever known that was an ensemble, and they were actually known before the project was Black Panther.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I can think of. And I may be wrong, there may be others, but that's the only thing that I can think of at the moment. Um, but I will say, if anything, I strongly believe that they can at least get a Screen Actors Guild nomination for Best Ensemble
I
in
hope
the
so.
limited series. I can see that.
I need some.
But who knows? We may be surprised, and it's just like, hey, the voters that beat, they was like, that was really dope, y'all. We got y'all on the next voting round. So,
Mhm.
because I feel like it's worth the consideration, but I will be surprised if they push through with it. So, but we'll see. We will see. And I actually forgot to mention, I forgot to add it to my list. We actually watched a Quiet Place day one too.
How was that?
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. We might have to talk about it another time if you when you check it out.
I don't
It's
like the quiet place, but okay.
all right. Okay. So thank everybody for coming to to listen to this episode of Ambitious Views. If you get to hear this before voting stops, we want to just say thank you all for voting for us and everything. We should be knowing next month, I think a month from now, about, the outcome of everything. But again, just thank everybody for supporting us. We hit over 500 listens not too long ago as far as downloads on another platform. So always we're on Spotify, all of the things. Follow us on the socials because now since things are kind of slowing down for me, Blaze and I'll be able to come back together and put some more great content out. So, but I appreciate Blaze as always as well. And other than that, y'all have a good rest of the morning, noon, or night. Peace.
Peace.